वो अपने करियर के साथ में उनको वो तो रहता है कि हाँ मुझे इस फील्ड में जाना है, लेकिन कई बार वो पहले वक्त से पहले ये प्यार के चक्कर में, लव के चक्कर में फंस जाते हैं, तो उसको कैसे टैकल किया जा सकता है?
For me, it is nothing, but it is everything. The love.
हेलो दोस्तों, कैसे हो आप सब? आपने बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस पूछे हैं करियर से रिलेटेड, कौन कौन से बेटर ऑप्शंस हो सकते हैं, कुछ एग्जाम्स के बारे में। इवन कुछ लोग इस चीज़ को लेकर भी बहुत ज़्यादा कंफ्यूज्ड होते हैं कि करियर, और कुछ लोग लव के चक्कर में फंस जाते हैं। इन सब चीज़ों के बारे में आज के इस पॉडकास्ट में हम डिस्कस करने वाले हैं। हमारे साथ में है एक बहुत ही स्पेशल गेस्ट डॉक्टर उमेश सर, और हमारे ये गुरुजी भी हैं। बहुत कुछ सीखा है सर आपसे। प्लीज़ हम शुरू करेंगे इस पॉडकास्ट को आपके इंट्रोडक्शन के साथ में।
So thank you, Farman. And this is our great feeling that I am actually giving interview to my student. You are the first student who is taking interview from myself. Basically, for the audience, I want to tell you that myself Dr. Umesh, and I am working here as an associate professor and head research cell. So the primary responsibility is to motivate faculty, students to do research and to motivate them to go for further higher educations. Basically UG PG students wants to go for the higher education, particularly in science. We used to motivate to apply in abroad for particularly molecular medicine and stem cell subjects. And previously I was a research fellow. Basically I started my journey from ICMR, Indian Council of Medical Research, where I worked on tumor cells and several other markers, HPV diagnosis, and all over I used to do the mutational studies using sequencing and single standard. So and then only I got registration from Delhi University, where I worked for my Ph.D. on epigenetics of breast cancer, where I developed several tumor markers which actually gives idea about the early stage development of the tumors at epigenetic level, and how these genes are actually getting silent, and how we can reverse that type of silencing which is actually inducing tumorigenesis. Later on I moved to stem cell biology laboratory in National Institute of Immunology, that is a premier institute of DBT, Government of India, where I worked on epithelial serous ovarian tumors, and we have developed several drug resistant phenotype markers, basically EpCAM positive and CD45 positives, and that got published in Nature Oncology. I worked with Dr. Lalit Kumar in AIMS, Dr. Mukhopadhyay in NII, and later on I joined Department of Biochemistry South Campus, where I was the in charge of a facility. That facility was a DNA sequencing facility, where I used to do the NGS also, plus DNA microarray systems. So this is how I started my journey, and now I wanted to have that exposure where I can communicate that knowledge which I have acquired to those students, and the students which actually deserve that knowledge is of that locality.
एक्चुअली यही हमारा मोटिव भी है। जितना सर आपने बताया है, पर्सनली मैं कहूँ, लोगों को ना ये चीज़ें सुनकर भी डर लग जाता है। ओ माय गॉड, इतना ज़्यादा एक्सपीरियंस किसी एक पर्टिकुलर फील्ड में। एंड मैंने भी काफ़ी देखा है आपके रिसर्च पेपर वगैरह कैंसर के ऊपर, आपके कुछ रिसर्च पेपर अभी आप शुरू होने से पहले भी दिखा रहे थे, तो उस चीज़ के लिए भी मैं आपको मुबारकबाद देना चाहता हूँ। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि आपके इस एक्सपीरियंस से कुछ स्टूडेंट्स जो रिसर्च फील्ड में जाने से डरते हैं, उनका थोड़ा सा फ़ायदा हो जाए, वो जा सकें, करियर अपना सेट कर सकें। एंड क्या आपने अपने 12th के बाद से ही, या ग्रेजुएशन के टाइम से, या स्कूलिंग के टाइम से ऐसा सोच के रखा था कि आप इस फील्ड में आ जाएंगे?
To be very frank, Farman, this is a random call. Okay. But as far as my career was concerned, my parents and my the family, they wanted to be I should be a clinician or doctor.
Okay.
But somehow I was more motivated with the people in surrounding me, like professors and scientists, those have motivated me towards the biotechnology when it was rising actually in 2002-3.
Craze
So
tha us time
that
par.
time it was having a craze that you know everybody was discussing biochemistry, biotechnology and microbiology, but somehow that push was came like you know from the family. When my my grandfather lost his life in 84, early stage in 52-53 years, so he was also having some symptoms of like tumors. So I thought that in clinician life they are just like you know public dealer. The patient used to come, they used to treat, but who is giving this treatment?
They are only prescribing
They are
medicines.
prescribing,
Scientists ने जो बना के दे दिया है, research
so
हो
I
रहा है.
thought that you know the bigger thing is to do some research and to tell them you know how we have to treat a individual patient. Nowadays that thing is coming. Every individual have its own type of tumors or diseases, and the focus is on personalized medicines.
Personalized medicine.
Right. So what is this personalized medicine? That time it was not there. You know, doctors had decided that we have to give this thing, तो देना ही पड़ेगा उनको, और उसके adverse effects आते थे जो AEI हम बोलते हैं फार्माकोलॉजी में. Those adverse effects should be addressed at ground level, because now you can see in COVID life also several vaccines are controversial. They are not giving that outcome, and they are having their adverse effects. We have to count every adverse effect, because we cannot hide that data. We should not be you know the culprits.
किसी एक मेडिसिन से 2 महीने कोई ठीक है, लेकिन 5 महीने बाद वो एकदम खत्म.
And you have seen that you know several medications were being given to the patients, COVID patients also, and somehow we came to know that these were useless. We have opted so many antibiotics. Now we are seeing the effects. Now another thing is anti-AMR. So lot of things are there, but you know my family was there to motivate me that you should do something in this field. That's why you know that's how I choose this field, cancer biology, and I used to motivate every student, because from that background from I am, that actually also gives me strength that you came from that place, that ground zero, and now I used to look back to that part, and I certainly realized that I have did something, and I am having that much satisfaction. And another thing, Farman, whatever knowledge you gain, it should be communicated, and communicated to those areas or those populations which are not having that knowledge. We usually discuss our science to the scientific persons or either scientific students, but it should go to the you know the basic person in their own language. If we are taking some samples from that patient, he should be in full you know knowledge that we are taking for what, why we are taking your sample,
for what kind of research or purpose.
So everything depends on that.
वो भी ज़रूरी है. एक क्वेश्चन और है इसमें ना, आजकल ये काफ़ी ज़्यादा क्रेज़ बढ़ गया है, हम कह सकते हैं, जब से ये मॉडर्नाइजेशन हुआ है या ग्लोबलाइजेशन हुआ है. स्मार्टफोन की देन कह सकते हैं आपकी. जब बच्चा अपनी पुबर्टी एज में आता है, प्यूबर्टी उसमें आया, उसको हार्मोन्स हिट किए, वो अपने करियर के साथ में उनको वो रहता है कि हाँ मुझे इस फील्ड में जाना है, लेकिन कई बार वो पहले वक्त से पहले ये प्यार के चक्कर में, लव के चक्कर में फंस जाते हैं. तो उसको कैसे टैकल किया जा सकता है? See Farman,
for me it is nothing but it is everything, the love. Love is kind of you know affection which actually motivates to do better. It is not like you know you are you know having emotions for someone. This is also love actually, to you know this is also an infatuation towards the subjects, right? So make your own priorities first. You know, do something for those priorities, then you are having every right. My father used to tell, even my personal life if I want to share, that my father used to say, बेटा आप कुछ भी कर लो, हमें कोई मतलब नहीं, आप सक्सेस लो, उसके बाद आपके जो भी डिसीजन होंगे हम उनके साथ हैं. That is actually the fact. The family is actually you know thinking that our kid or our child should be you know focused. Rest thing is parallel, depending on the hormones that are also very important to deal with such situations, and that gives maturity. And you see, science used to say, you should know everything, because this is a fact of dopamine and other oxytocins and other hormones. So you should know that these are chemicals. This is also must to actually build up some immunity in our body. So that is also must. I usually say that, give priorities to your jobs. If you want to become successful in love, become successful in your career. That is वो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. ज़रूरी इसलिए भी है कि because if that chemical which used to tell, which develops love, that is not a sustainable. We have to make sustainable relationships, and that actually gives, if you are having a successful career.
And that actually makes
sense. That is
sense.
A combination or cocktail of both the things. If you wants to have some destination in love, you have to be, some destination in your career.
वो एक फोकस, एक गोल होना वो बहुत ज़्यादा ज़रूरी है. एंड बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऐसा आज के टाइम पर उनका ये रहता है कि भाई मुझे जल्दी से अपने पैरों पे खड़े होना है, मैं कुछ अर्निंग्स करने लग जाऊं. और आजकल के टाइम पर कुछ करिकुलम्स भी ऐसे मतलब बनाए जा रहे हैं, उनमें कुछ चेंजेस किए जा रहे हैं कि स्टूडेंट्स पढ़ाई के साथ साथ कुछ काम भी करने लगे. तो फ्रीलांसिंग जिसको कहते हैं, तो फ्रीलांसिंग करना चाहिए क्या? अपने करियर के साथ में सिर्फ पढ़ाई के ऊपर फोकस कर सकते हैं या उस वाले पार्ट पे भी हम थोड़ा ध्यान दे सकते हैं?
सी फरमान, एक्चुअली फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई वांट टू से दैट दिस फ्रीलांसिंग वर्ड वाज नॉट एट आवर टाइम.
उस टाइम नहीं था.
हाँ. Why it was? Because we were very much focused and we were having our A plan. Problem is with B and C plan, and I always prefer to keep A plan. When it comes in the mind B and C, definitely our nature or our mind used to work like, आप ये कहना चाहते हो कि मैं ये नहीं बना तो ये बन जाऊंगा, वो नहीं बना तो वो बन जाऊंगा. That means you are actually already is not confident about plan A.
Plan A.
And another thing I want to say, that plan A should be of your satisfaction. It should not be in the move like you have to keep your family safe financially. No. Once the family will not remain, you will remain alone.
And I think failure का ये एक बहुत बड़ा reason
This is a biggest fraud. I never thought that I will be failure. If failure, that means I am earning something, that some tips to become successful. हमारे papers several times reject होते हैं. They used to reject. एक एडिटर्स बहुत अच्छा लव लेटर बना के भेजते हैं, बट वो लव लेटर मैं इसलिए बोलता हूँ क्योंकि वे आपके साथ में हमारे को सजेशंस बना के भेजते हैं. एंड डेफिनेटली वी डोंट वांट टू सेंड अगेन इनटू दैट जर्नल. हम फिर उसको दूसरे जर्नल में भेजते हैं पहले वाले को करेक्ट करके. ओके, सो दिस इज हाउ वी डू.
अच्छा, ये मैंने एक क्वेश्चन बीच में इंक्लूड तो नहीं किया,
प्लीज
मेरा मन
प्लीज डू.
सर, जैसा कि हम जानते हैं आपका अच्छा खासा वर्क है कैंसर के ऊपर, तो इसमें लेटेस्ट क्या चल रहा है अभी? क्योंकि ये पता लगना चाहिए सबको कि हम वही कीमोथेरेपी पे अटके हुए हैं, वही बाल उड़ जाते हैं लोगों के. अभी लेटेस्ट कहाँ तक पहुँच गई ये चीज़ें, कितना आगे तक चला गया है?
फरमान, बेसिकली थोड़ा सा क्लिनिकल एस्पेक्ट से देखे और साइंटिफिक रिसर्च डेवलपमेंट्स के एस्पेक्ट से देखे, COVID has proven us that the biggest treatment is our immunity, boosting our immunity, which can deal with each kind of disease. I mean that there is nothing to relate with the communicable disease or non-communicable disease. It works on the both the things. And latest developments in immunotherapeutics also, HLA therapies and chemotherapies are basically just to restrict that tumor, localize that tumor if it is getting advanced. So we are stopping to control that growth of the tumor. It is not a whole soul mechanism, or it is not a whole soul regimen to give every individual. It is not right. Usually every patient thinks that chemotherapy hoga, ये सब होगा. नहीं. Regimens are different. If it is in early stage, we can easily actually localize them. But if it is in lateral stages, we have to do several combinations of the cocktail of the regimens. So the biggest thing is to diagnose every individual correctly, what is the stage and what is the subtype of tumors. And mind it, there are subtypes of the tumors also. That is why I used to say every individual's which is a patient of tumor, is having its own subtyping of that tumor. If it is a breast cancer, it is not a simple word that it will be a breast cancer. No, it could be IDC, it could be a benign, it could be a mammalian and or something like that. Memory.
I think इसमें misdiagnosis की वजह से ज़्यादा केस भी करते हैं.
Problem क्या होता है कि there are two ways of mainly diagnosis in any clinician or hospitals or PSCs. One is the physical diagnosis on the basis of those X-rays, mammograms, and CT scans and PET CTs. But thing is that this is a disease of a single cell. You have to deal with this metabolism or the whole networking of those genes which are responsible actually in to develop these tumors. Once it is not, in case of tumor suppressor, it is not getting expressed. So we have to find out at cellular level, and for cellular level you need to do some biopsies, or you need to studies on under the microscopes, and that is a invasive technique. But there are several blood markers also which needs to be developed to diagnose the tumors. Problem is with the diagnosis. In India, it is a larger population. The patient doesn't know where to go, where to follow, where to go for the testings. Even they used to go here and there on a average in some towns. So they used to get misguided. Sometimes they used to go for the undergo for the surgical options. That is not good options. Even in cities also they used to suffer a lot.
Money again, एक problem.
Money and I should not say, but there are some policies from the government side also that these patients, poor patients, are not channelized where to go. Ph.C, CHC, and the major centers. The major communication gap is that. Major communication gap is that. If Ph.C is referring to higher center, they should actually accept every referral. But what is the happening? The patient is going to the emergency. They are saying, go to the Ph.Cs, go for that place. Higher center itself is having a big load. That is why I am saying that it should be at at least commissionerate level. A higher center should be there, and a higher institution should be there, research institution. Without research, academicians or these clinicians, this should be a cocktail of these things.
हाँ, ये actually ये चीज़ मैंने कहीं कुछ abroad में USA में ज़्यादा देखी थी.
Every medical school is having research centers are there in every field, even hematology, even cytology, even histopathology. Every lab is there. Why? You can understand they used to consult with that person or scientist that this disease is actually proliferating or progressing like this.
एंड बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स ऐसे होते हैं इंट्रोवर्ट, लाइक अगर उन्होंने एडमिशन ले लिया, लाइक हम उसको अपना एजुकेशन सिस्टम का फॉल्ट कह सकते हैं या कुछ भी कह सकते हैं मुझे, वो एक पर्टिकुलर एज पर आकर पर्टिकुलर टाइम पर उनको चाहिए कि वो अपने आप को एक्सप्रेस करें और वो नहीं कर पाते. ये चीज़ एक बहुत बड़ा ड्रॉबैक उनके लिए साबित होती है. वो लाइफ में कहीं ना कहीं एक रेस में पीछे छूट जाते हैं. कैसे टैकल कर सकते हैं इस चीज़ को?
Actually, that is what I was also actually missing at my level, because the teachers at that time in the field were not of that expertise. Initially the batch was started in 2003-04. There were no specific teachers actually to deal with molecular biology or immunology. Whatever we have developed, we have gone through by our own selves. We have read a lot, we have experimented a lot things. This is actually depending on that individual. To that individual can actually have some godfathers or seniors or something like that. He or she has to tackle with that thing, because nobody is going to come to her or him. You can understand at that level the complexity is already there, and in our education system percentage and other things matters.
Great.
Rather it should be opposite. It should be a learning system. We cannot deal with these situations. I was a bad student in that aspect. My internal marks were not good. But now those teachers are, sending me request. Why?
Actually skills matters the most.
Skills matters.
Skills उस चीज के
And
ऊपर
you
ध्यान
have
देना
to
चाहिए।
take that, and it is not a single word skill. Skill depends on your interest. It is a vast subject, biotechnology. It includes everything of biology or life sciences. So it is not necessary that particular student or a person will be knowing everything. It may be environmental science related things, environmental microbiology. It may be food and dairy, or some other, transgenic products, genetic engineering. It will depend definitely, because mechanism, see, everything is associated. If you want to go for a particular animal study, you need to study cell biology, you need to study biochemistry, you need to study even sometimes states also.
हमारा attitude भी वैसा होना चाहिए।
So it means that you don't know other thing, but you have to give the priority that which is your favorite subject. You become in expert in that field. Why you want to become, like I could be like molecular biologist, I could be environmental microbiologist. लोग लगा के घूमते हैं डिग्रियों को. That doesn't matter.
डिग्री एक
एलिजिबिलिटी है,
वो सिर्फ एक दरवाजा।
Yes, so many awards ये सब रखेंगे, ठीक है, वो आज आपको भी पता है, आराम से मिलेगा आपको. Keep patience. See, जो काम हमारा पहला है हमें उसको प्रायोरिटी देना है, रेस्ट सेकेंडरी अपने एरिया। जब आपने शुरू में प्लान ए बी की बात करी ना, प्लान ए ही रहना चाहिए, ठीक है। हाँ, ये है स्टेजी चेंज होती है जिसमें आपकी फैमिली, आपके सीनियर्स, आपके गुरु हेल्प आउट कर सकते हैं कि बेटा आप इसमें अच्छे हो। अब इसी का मैं एग्जांपल दूँ, माय मैथ वाज वेरी गुड इन माय बोर्ड एग्जाम्स, बट समहाउ द मार्क्स वर लेस एंड बायोलॉजी मार्क्स वर वेरी गुड, 75-80%. So my father said, go for biology. So this is not an opinion. मैथ मेरा अच्छा था, उसको मैं इधर भी यूटिलाइज कर सकता हूँ।
कुछ है चीज़ें इधर भी काफ़ी
इधर भी यूटिलाइज कर सकता हूँ, ठीक है। दैट विल सर्टेनली विल हेल्प आउट इन दिस थिंग ऑल्सो, और होगा वो चीज़ हेल्प आउट होगी। आपको एक्यूमुलेट करना है, ठीक है, वो कहाँ पे काम आएगी। फिजिक्स वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, सी केमिस्ट्री, फिजिक्स, मैथ, इट इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट फॉर साइंस, फॉर बेटर अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ डिफरेंट सब्जेक्ट्स।
तो बहुत अच्छा लगा आपसे बात करके, एंड आपको भी आगे परेशान करेंगे।
So I always actually admire that my students are growing so well. I used to see several posts from your side, and you are growing very well. I personally wish that you achieve your heights, whatever your dreams they used to come true, and good to be your godfather or guide whenever my help is required. Definitely I am there for every student, not only you, for every student.
Precious time.
Good.
अच्छा लगा, और स्टूडेंट्स को हम ऐसा ही एक्सपोजर देते रहेंगे।
Yes.
आपको फिर से कभी याद करेंगे तो स्टूडेंट्स को और भी बातें पता चलेंगी।
Thank you, and for your viewers, I want to give a message. To become success in science, you have to have your plan A, no plan B. That's it. Thank you.
That is important.